The wind howled like a wild beast across the icy wasteland. Sharp snowflakes cut through the air like tiny knives. Jack pulled his jacket tighter, but it didn't help much. His shuttle had crashed just hours ago, and now he was alone, cold, and completely lost on this alien planet. His fingers were numb. His boots crunched in the thick snow. The sky was dark, full of gray clouds. No stars. No moon. Just the never-ending white around him. Jack cursed under his breath. Why didn't I stay with the wreck? But deep down, he knew why. The wreck was on fire. If he had stayed, he'd be roasted. He had followed a faint signal from his scanner heat, maybe a camp. But now, the scanner was dead too. All he had left was a weak flashlight and a survival blanket in his backpack. Suddenly, he heard something crunch. Jack froze. Crunch. Crunch. Footsteps. Light ones. Not like a beast, more careful. He slowly turned and raised his flashlight. There. She stood. A figure in the snow, not human. Humanoid, yes, but with pale blue skin, long silver hair, and glowing violet eyes. Her clothes were thin, layered with fur, and her feet were bare despite the snow. Her face was calm, but curious. Jack didn't move. He didn't even breathe. The alien girl tilted her head and spoke softly. Human? Jack blinked. You speak English? She raised an eyebrow. Translator, in ear. He let out a breath. He didn't know he was holding. She looked him up and down, then slowly walked toward him. You are cold. You will die. I'll manage, Jack said, trying to sound strong, but his lips were already turning blue. The girl looked around, then motioned for him to follow. Come, he hesitated. She wasn't holding a weapon. She looked young, maybe his age. She was walking barefoot in the snow like it didn't bother her. Jack had two choices, stay and freeze, or follow the strange alien girl into the unknown. He followed. They walked for 20 minutes through the snow, not speaking. Jack stumbled twice. She never did. Finally, they reached a small rocky hill with a hidden entrance covered by thick vines and stones. She pushed them aside and ducked inside. Was a cave warm? A small heat lamp hummed in the corner, powered by some alien battery. There was a bedroll, a small bag of supplies, and what looked like dried meat hanging from the wall. The girl sat down and began untying her long silver hair. You may stay until morning, then you leave. Jack dropped to the ground with a heavy sigh. Thanks. I thought I was dead out there. She didn't answer. Silence filled the cave. After a few minutes, Jack shivered hard. His jacket was wet. His pants were freezing. Could feel the cold deep in his bones. The girl looked at him. Your body is failing. You are shaking. He nodded. Yeah, it's cold. She pulled her own sleeping bag from the corner. It was long and wide, made of some thick fur. Then she surprised him. She pointed to it and said, We will share. It holds two. Jack blinked. Wait, what? She stood, eyes serious. You need warmth. My people do this for survival. No shame. Jack opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. She gave a small smirk. Less you'd rather die. Human, he sighed. No, I'm just not used to this kind of welcome. She laid down first, pulling the fur open. Then hurry. Jack slid in beside her, the warmth shocking his cold skin. She was like a heater, her skin radiated. Warmth. They laid close, shoulder to shoulder. At first neither spoke. Then she whispered, I am Rila. Jack, he replied. More silence. Then Rila turned slightly toward him. Your heart is fast. Jack laughed nervously. Yeah, well, new experience. She stared at him for a moment, then reached out and touched his chest just lightly. Jack stiffened. What are you doing? Checking your rhythm, she said calmly. We match. That is... interesting. Jack couldn't respond, just looked at her glowing eyes in the dim cave. Suddenly, loud roar echoed outside the cave. Rilla sat up fast, grabbing a long knife from beside the bed. Jack sat up too. What was that? She didn't answer. She just whispered, "Do not move, do not speak." Something big was out there, and they were trapped together, inside one sleeping bag. Asterisk, the cave was dark again. The roar outside had stopped, but the silence that followed was somehow worse. Jack stayed perfectly still. His body was pressed close to Rila's inside the thick sleeping bag. Her breathing had slowed, but her hand was still gripping the knife. "Is it gone?" Jack whispered, careful not to move too much. Rilla didn't answer. She only tilted her head, listening. Her alien ears twitched slightly. She could hear things Jack never could. After a long minute, she finally nodded. It went away. "For now," she said softly, but her voice didn't sound calm. It sounded disappointed. Jack exhaled. "Good. I really didn't feel like getting eaten tonight." Rilla didn't laugh. She slowly slid the knife back under the bedroll. Then she turned her face toward his. "Why did you not run?" Jack blinked. Run? From what? From the sound? From the beast? Jack gave a tired smile. "Where would I run to, huh? Outside? It's snow and death out there?" She studied him. "You stayed, even though you are afraid." "Not fearless," Jack replied. "Besides, you're the one with the knife." Rilla didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "Humans are strange." Jack noticed her tone wasn't mocking. It was curious, thoughtful. But just as he started to relax, something unexpected happened. Rilla shifted her body, slightly pressing against him even more. Too close. Her skin was hot now, almost burning. Jack flinched slightly at the heat, but she didn't move away. Her hand rested just above his heart again. "Your temperature is low," she said quietly. "I will increase mine." "Wait, increase." "I can control my internal heat. Part of my biology," she explained. "You are weak. I will keep you alive." Jack felt his heart beat faster. "I'm not that weak." But Rilla just closed her eyes. "You shivered. Humans shiver before death." Jack rolled his eyes. "Great. So now I'm your little frozen science project." She didn't respond to that. Instead, her breathing slowed again, deep and calm to calm. She seemed almost meditative, but Jack couldn't sleep. Not with her so close. Not with her hand so still on his chest. Not with her leg. Now over his, he shifted slightly. Are you trying to warm every part of me?" "Full contact is faster," she replied without opening her eyes. "You may place your arms around me. It will speed the effect." Jack coughed awkwardly. "That's very generous of you." Rilla opened one eye slowly. "It is survival. But you're enjoying this, aren't you?" Jack said with a teasing smirk. For the first time, Rilla's cheeks turned a deeper shade of blue, like a blush. She looked away. "There is comfort in warmth, and your scent is not unpleasant." Jack raised an eyebrow. "My scent?" She nodded. "It changed after we touched." "Your skin smells different now." Jack stared at her, stunned. I hope that's a good thing." Rilla didn't reply. She simply pulled the edge of the fur blanket tighter around them both and whispered, "Sleep now, Jack. The second night is colder." Jack tried. He really did. But something strange began happening in his own body. His chest grew warmer, like heat was blooming under his skin. His thoughts became fuzzy, his limbs heavy, senses more alert. He could smell the faint floral scent of Rella's hair. He could feel her pulse, fast, steady, strong. Too strong. And then he realized his body was syncing with hers. Or maybe hers was syncing with his. He couldn't be sure. Jack whispered, "Rilla, are you doing something to me?" She opened her eyes slowly and stared at him. "Our bodies are reacting," she said, her voice low and serious. "It is not fully under my control." Jack swallowed hard. "Reacting to what?" She hesitated, then whispered to bonding. "To closeness, to instinct." Jack was quiet. Then he asked, "Is this some alien thing?" "It is part of our trial process," she said, "but this is happening too fast." Jack blinked. "Trial." Rilla didn't answer. She closed her eyes again. But just before sleep claimed her, murmured one last thing. "You must not tell anyone you slept in my bag, Jack. They will think we are joined." Jack lay there, staring at the cave ceiling. Joined. This night was supposed to be about survival, so why did it suddenly feel like something bigger just started? Jack woke up slowly, his breath fogging in the cold air that had returned to the cave. The heater lamp had gone dim during the night, and only the warmth trapped inside the sleeping bag kept him from freezing. But it wasn't just the cold that made him feel uneasy. Something was wrong. Rilla wasn't beside him anymore. He sat up quickly and looked around. The sleeping bag was half open. Her knife was gone. The air smelled different, like burned metal and smoke. Then he noticed something on the cave floor. Claw marks. Deep ones. Fresh. Leading to the sleeping. Jack's skin went cold again, not from the weather, but from fear. "Rilla," he called. Out softly. No answer. He got to his feet and stepped out of the bedroll, careful not to make noise. The cave entrance was slightly open. Snow blew in from outside. Jack picked up a rock and held it like a weapon. He peeked out to his surprise. Rilla was standing only a few meters away. Her back was turned to him and she was crouched low, inspecting the ground. Her silver hair blew in the wind and her breathing was steady, but there was blood on her fingers. He rushed out. "Rilla, are you okay?" She didn't turn. "Don't speak," she said in a low, sharp tone. "We were marked last night." Jack stopped. "Marked?" She pointed at the snow. 8. Jack followed her finger and saw it. A wide circle carved into the snow with strange symbols. Inside it, broken sticks, fur clumps, and a tooth, sharp. Long, not hers. She stood up slowly. It left a warning. The beast from last night didn't leave because it was afraid. It left because it chose. Jack stared at her. It chose. What? She looked over her shoulder, her violet eyes darker now. It chose to return later. Jack felt his stomach twist. Why would it do that? Rilla walked back into the cave and spoke calmly as she wiped her fingers on a cloth. Because now it knows you are here, and it has never hunted a human before. Jack followed her heart, pounding. You said this planet was mostly abandoned? You said there was nothing out here? There wasn't supposed to be, she replied. But this predator is old. Forgotten. It's been watching this mountain for a long time. Jack dropped to the ground and rubbed his face. Great. So I'm part of some alien beast's dinner plans. Rilla knelt in front of him. May not understand this, Jack, but something happened between us. Last night, our bodies linked more deeply than expected. You're no longer invisible to the wild things? He blinked. What does that mean? She reached out, touched his chest gently again, then pulled her hand back quickly as if burned. Your scent has changed, you keep saying. That, she stood, pacing now. You carry a trace of me. My body was in heat last night, triggered early by your presence. That should not have happened. Jack stood up too. So let me get this straight. You went into heat because of me, and now some ancient monster wants to eat me. No, she said flatly, doesn't want to eat you. Jack froze. Then what does it want? She looked directly at him, to challenge you. His breath caught in his throat. What? In my culture, Rilla explained, when a female enters heat and claims someone, a predator or rival can challenge the bond by testing the male. If he fails, the female must choose the stronger one. Jack stared at her like she'd grown a second head. I'm not an alien. I didn't agree to any of this. I didn't either, she whispered. But the ritual has already begun. You slept in my bag, Jack. You took in my warmth, my scent, my energy. Are you saying I'm in some accidental alien mating contest? She didn't laugh. She just said quietly, yes. Jack turned and walked to the cave entrance, rubbing his temples. This is insane. But then he saw it just beyond the tree line, two glowing yellow eyes, watching, waiting, still. Jack backed away. It's already here, isn't it? Rilla didn't move. Yes. And what happens if I fail? She looked at him for a long moment, Then I must accept the predator as my new mate. Jack clenched his fists. This wasn't about survival anymore. It was personal. Asterisk, the sun barely rose over the snowy ridges. Pale light spilled across the frozen land like a ghost's breath. Jack stood near the cave entrance, his eyes locked on the trees where the beast had been watching him. It was gone now, but not for long. Inside, Rilla was preparing something strange. She had stripped her outer layer of fur and painted dark blue symbols on her skin using thick, sticky liquid from a small glass jar. Jack glanced at her. So what exactly is this ritual you keep talking about? Rilla didn't stop painting. It's called the Tharkai, a test, a challenge of worth. If another force, creature, or male dares to interfere in a claimed bond, the chosen one must prove strength or leave. Jack sat down, exhausted. But I didn't claim you. She paused, eyes meeting his. Oh, I claimed you, human, and that's what makes it dangerous. So, because I shared a sleeping bag to stay alive, now I have to fight an alien monster in a mating duel? Rilla gave a small smile. Not fight, survive. Jack raised his eyebrows. It doesn't sound much better. She stood and approached, him holding out a necklace made of carved bone and crystal. She placed it over his head. What's this? A signal. It tells the beast you are my chosen, and that you accept the challenge? Wait. What if I don't accept? She tilted her head. Then it comes anyway. I'll be forced to welcome it. Jack looked away. This wasn't just a survival problem anymore. This was cultural, primal and personal. He looked back at her. All right, I'll do it. But I need to know, what is this thing? Rilla's voice turned low. It's called a Vergrax, a rare mountain predator. Intelligent, fast, almost impossible to kill. It doesn't just hunt food eat, hunts legacy. If it defeats you, it earns the right to spread its bloodline through me. Jack clenched his fists. That's not going to happen. Something flickered in Rilla's eyes, relief, maybe even pride, but she didn't say it. Instead, she picked up a small pouch and threw it into the fire pit at the center of the cave. Blue smoke filled the air. It smelled sweet, but it made Jack dizzy. What's in that? Ritual smoke, she said. It marks this cave as the challenge ground. It lets the Vergrax know you are ready, and it awakens your senses. Coughed, feels like it's frying my brain. It will pass. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Jack, once it begins, I cannot help you. I cannot touch you. The beast will watch. If I interfere, it wins automatically. Jack nodded. Got it, no help. You must face it alone. But know this, if you survive the trial, you will not just win my protection, you'll win my people's respect. Jack blinked. Your people? I thought we were alone. She gave a quiet smile. We are, but the moment this is over, they will know. They always know when a trial has begun. Outside, the wind picked up, and then heavy footsteps. Slow, measured, confident, coming straight toward the cave. Rilla stepped back quickly. It's here. Jack stood, heart pounding. So what do I do? Show no fear. Stand your ground. If it charges, don't run. He nodded. Then he saw it. The Vergrax stepped into view like a shadow turning solid. It was huge. Over 9 feet tall, with dark-plated skin, long claws, and golden eyes that burned with intelligence. Its breath came out in huffs, steaming the cold air. It stepped to the edge of the cave and waited. Jack swallowed hard and stepped forward. The beast sniffed the air and locked eyes with him. It looked down at the necklace on Jack's chest and growled. Then it did something unexpected. It bowed its head just slightly and placed one claw on the snow. Drawing a symbol, Jack glanced at Rilla. She nodded. It accepted your challenge. The Vergrax stood tall again, and the knit vanished into the trees. Jack turned to Rilla. Did I win? She shook her head. No, Jack. Now the real test begins. He frowned. What was that then? It stepped toward him and whispered, You must survive the next night. Alone, the beast will come for you before the sun rises. If you are still breathing by morning, you win. Jack looked at the distant forest, then back at Rilla. One night she nodded. One night. Jack picked up the bone necklace and tightened it around his neck. I can do one night. But as Rilla stepped back into the cave, her eyes lingered. On him longer than before, not with fear. Hope. The forest was too quiet. Jack sat alone near a fire he had built with trembling hands. The blue ritual smoke still clung to his clothes, making the trees around him look like they moved when they didn't. His pulse beat in his ears. Somewhere, beyond the snow-covered trees, a monster was hunting him. The Vergrax, the beast that could end him in seconds. But it hadn't attacked yet. It was testing him, watching, playing some ancient alien game that Jack barely understood. He held a sharp metal rod, part of his crashed shuttle. Not much of a weapon, but it made him feel less helpless. Rilla had disappeared into the mountain caves behind him. She wasn't allowed to help, and he wasn't allowed to call for her. The rules of the ritual were strict. The moment he broke them, the beast would win by default, and Rilla would belong to it. Jack stared into the fire. I didn't sign up for this, he muttered. I was just trying to survive one night, not become some alien bridegroom. And then he heard it. Snap, a twig. Then another snap. Crunch, breathe. His body tensed. The fire cracked loudly, throwing orange shadows in all directions. Suddenly something fast and black shot between the trees. Jack jumped to his feet. He spun, holding the metal rod like a spear. But the forest was empty again. He backed closer to the fire. Come on then. If you're going to attack, do it. Still nothing. Then a voice, soft, feminine, echoed from the trees. But it wasn't. Rilla, you are not worthy. Jack's heart froze. That wasn't the beast's voice. That was a mimic. The Vergrax could speak. It was copying Rilla's voice, using it to toy with him. He shook his head. Nice trick. But I know who I'm fighting. The voice came again, colder now. She chose too soon. You are soft. You will break. Jack's grip tightened. Yeah, then come break me. A sudden gust of wind killed the fire. Darkness swallowed the forest. Jack's breath quickened. No, no, no. He spun in circles, trying to relight the flame with his survival spark stick. But something moved behind him too fast. He turned. A heavy blow slammed into his chest, sending him flying backward into the snow. His rod flew from his hand, his vision blurred. Pain exploded through his ribs. Then he saw it. The Vergrax standing above him. Breathing heavily, its long claws dripping with melted snow and blood. Jack's blood, it didn't strike again. It just waited. Watching, testing. Jack coughed, reached for a rock, and threw it. It hit the beast's shoulder. But it didn't flinch. Jack forced himself to stand, gasping. I'm not running. The beast lowered its head. Its golden eyes locked onto him, and it charged. Jack rolled aside just in time. The claws scraped the earth where he had been. He grabbed a thick branch and swung it at the beast's side. It cracked but didn't stop it. Then something unexpected happened. Rilla's voice echoed again, but not from the beast, from Jack's chest. He reached under his jacket and pulled out the bone necklace. It was glowing faintly, pulsing. The beast stopped, stared at it, snarled. Jack didn't understand, but he held it up high. You want to test the bond? Then take a good look. She gave this to me. The Vergrax hissed. Then it leaped straight at Jack. He braced for pain, but it never came. The beast landed inches in front of him, sniffed the air around the necklace and backed away. Its eyes narrowed. Then it lowered its head and vanished into the trees. Gone. Jack collapsed to his knees, breathing like he'd run a marathon. The trial was over. He didn't win through force. He won by holding his ground. By believing in the bond. Dawn broke slowly. Rilla returned. Her steps fast and worried. She saw Jack sitting near the remains of his fire. Bruised, bloody, but alive. Their eyes met. Rilla rushed forward, knelt beside him, and placed her hand gently over his heart. You did it, she whispered. You faced the night. You didn't run. Jack gave a weak smile. Didn't have a choice. You made it too complicated to die. She laughed a soft, sweet sound and leaned her head against his shoulder. Then she whispered something he didn't expect. You're mine now. Jack blinked. Wait, what? Rilla looked up at him, eyes glowing gently. That was the second part of the ritual. You accepted the challenge. You defended the claim. The final part is to decide if you want me to. Jack looked into her eyes and saw something new. No games, no tricks, no alien customs, just hope. He placed his hand over hers and said, Yes, I want you to. She didn't speak. She just leaned forward and touched his forehead with hers. A glowing mark appeared on her skin, a sign. The bond was complete. Asterisk that night. The sky over the mountain cleared for the first time in days. 1,000,000 stars sparkled above the snowy ridges like frozen fireflies. The twin moons hung low, casting soft silver light across the trees. Jack stood near a quiet stream, wearing a new robe made from Rilla's tribe's fabrics. The cuts and bruises on his body were cleaned, but something deeper inside him had changed. He was no longer just a human crash. Survivor, he was now part of something ancient, something sacred. Rilla stood across from him in a ceremonial robe stitched with silver threads and soft white fur. Her violet eyes were calm, focused. On her forehead, the glowing mark, the symbol of the chosen bond, still shimmered faintly. But it wasn't complete. Not yet. They stood in a circle of smooth black stones that Rilla had placed in perfect alignment. She had called it the Circle of Witnesses. Jack had asked, Who's watching? She simply said, Everyone who came before us. Jack didn't argue. He had seen too much now to question her people's beliefs. A small fire burned between them. Rilla stepped forward, holding a glass orb filled with silvery liquid. This is the memory water, she explained softly. Holds the voice of my ancestors. If we both drink and we do not fall ill, it means the bond is true. Jack raised an eyebrow. And if we do fall ill, then we were never meant to meet, and your body will reject my essence. Jack stared at the shimmering liquid. No pressure, huh? She smiled, then drank. A long pause. She lowered the orb and looked completely normal. Now it was Jack's turn. He took the orb carefully. The liquid was cold, almost humming in his hands. He brought it to his lips and drank. It tasted like metal and flowers. Strange but not painful. His chest warmed. His mind went still. A strange peace came over him, like someone had lifted a heavy weight from his shoulders. Then he opened his eyes, and Rilla was right in front of him, smiling. You didn't reject it. She whispered, Your body accepted the memory. Exhaled. Good. I was worried I'd start growing a tail or something. No, she said softly, touching his chest. But now, you carry a part of me inside. Jack nodded slowly. And what now? She pointed to the sky. We seal the bond under the moons. She stepped closer. Their foreheads touched again, and the glowing mark on her skin flared then. Spread, a matching mark shimmered on Jack's forehead. Warmth pulsed through him. Not just emotional, physical, like something in his blood now beat in rhythm with hers. Rilla placed her hand over his heart. He placed his hand over hers. Together they said the ancient words she had taught him. 2 hearts, 1 path. Shared. Breath, shared fate. The wind stopped. The forest listened, and somewhere in the dark, low hum echoed back from the mountains. The ritual was accepted. Later they sat together beside the fire. She leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. You know, Jack said, I crashed here thinking I was going to freeze, starve, or get eaten by something weird. You almost did, Rilla replied. Twice. Jack chuckled. Instead, I ended up sharing a sleeping bag with a beautiful alien girl who claims me as her mate. She looked up at him, her cheeks glowing blue. You make it sound simple, he smiled. It is simple, because I chose you to. A long silence followed. Then she whispered, Tomorrow, I will call my tribe. They will come. and they will. Judge you? Judge me? Yes, she said softly. They will want to see if the bond was truly earned. They will test your courage, your words, and your intentions. Jack raised an eyebrow. So it's not over yet? She shook her head. It's only beginning. Then she leaned closer and whispered in his ear. But you've already passed the hardest trial. You stayed when others would have run. You stood when fear tried to break you. Jack closed his eyes and let her warmth soak into his side. Stars above watched in silence, and the two, human and alien, remained close beneath their quiet light. Forever changed by one wild night in a sleeping bag that neither of them expected. Morning light poured into the snowy valley like golden mist. For the first time since the crash, Jack felt warm not just in his body, but in his heart. He and Rila walked side by side toward a wide clearing. This was the place she had spoken. Of the judging grounds, the trees around them seemed taller. The air was heavier. Sacred Jack could feel dozens of eyes watching, though he saw no one. Then they arrived. Rila stopped and held out her hand. They are here. A faint shimmer moved across the snow, and one by one, they appeared. Tall, proud alien figures. Their blue and silver robes flowing in the wind. Some had braided hair like Rila, others wore bone rings and crystal bands. Their eyes glowed softly violet, like hers. Rila stepped forward and spoke in her native tongue. Jack didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. She was introducing him not as a visitor, not as a stranger, but as her chosen. Then the eldest among the group stepped forward. His face was lined with age, and his robes were thicker, marked with silver threads and shimmering beads. He looked Jack up and down. You are the human, the elder asked, speaking slowly through a translator. Jack nodded. It's Jack Harper, engineer, survivor, and, I guess, future mate. A few elders blinked. One laughed. Another whispered something in surprise. The elder raised his hand for silence. Do you accept Rila's bond with full will and heart, even knowing our ways are not your own? Jack looked at Rila. She gave him a soft, almost shy smile. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Jack took her hand in front of everyone. Yes, he said clearly. I may not know all your rules, but I know this I stayed. I didn't run. I protected her, and she protected me. The elders looked at one another. Then the eldest stepped forward and removed a ring from his hand, a small carved stone tied with a string. He placed it around Jack's wrist. Then, by witness of the sky, the fire, and the trial, the bond is accepted. Rila released a quiet breath, like she had been holding it forever. The others began to hum low and peaceful. It was done. Later, back at the cave, Jack packed his gear quietly. His shuttle was still wrecked, but Rila's people had sent a signal to human space. A rescue team would arrive in a few weeks. Jack wasn't sure if he wanted to leave. He sat on a rock, watching the horizon. When Rila joined him, you seemed quiet, she said softly. Jack looked up at her. Just thinking about Earth, about what happens next. Rila sat beside him. My people will allow me to travel with you, she said gently. If you wish to return to your world, I will go. Jack looked at her, surprised. You'd leave your home, your tribe? She smiled. I've already chosen my bond. Where you are is where I belong now. He blinked. Even if we have no caves, no sleeping bags? She gave a playful smirk. Then I will bring the bag. They both laughed. But then Jack turned serious. Rila, you're more than just the girl who saved me from the cold, and you're more than the human who stayed. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small earth-made pendant, a broken piece of his ship, smooth and shaped like a star. He pressed it into her hand, no matter where. We go, he said. We carry both our worlds now. Rila stared at it, eyes wide. Then silently, she tied it to her own necklace. That night they shared the sleeping bag again, but this time, not out of need, not for warmth, but for something deeper, closer, stronger. They lay under the stars, bodies close, hearts finally calm. The danger was behind them. The ritual was complete. The future was unwritten. Jack brushed her hair back gently. Do you regret choosing me? Rila looked up at him, her eyes soft and glowing. No, I regret not meeting you sooner, he smiled. You sure you can handle a stubborn, sarcastic human in your life? She leaned forward, whispering against his lips. I handled you on your worst night. Now I want your best. And with the twin moons shining above and the stars watching quietly, the alien girl who had once offered to share her sleeping bag now shared something far greater, her life.